Hey familia, Igni here. The September 2017 balance changes have been announced, and there are nerfs to Alice, Wonderland Explorer, Lion of the Golden City, Vagabond Frog, and Shield of Flame. So let's talk about them. As usual, I'll link the full patch notes in the description below if you want to have a closer read, but let's just jump into it and talk about the nerfs here. Alice, Wonderland Explorer, has been nerfed, so that instead of giving the +1 defense buff, it instead only gives +1/+0 to all other allied neutral holders in your hand and in play. This is such a good change. One of the biggest problems of Alice boards in the neutral archetype in general is because they were so sticky, and it was hard to get rid of them because they had so much fortitude after being buffed by Alice and Feria as well. But Alice was a bigger problem, especially for the first turn advantage, because if you can just drop this going first on turn 4 before either player gets their evolve points, then your board just becomes almost unanswerable a lot of the time. Yeah, this is a super good change, especially considering the win rates of the top 5 decks here. Number 1 being Neutral Haven, 56.9%, Neutral Sword, 55.2%, Neutral Rune with 54.4%. So the top 3 decks here are neutral decks, and number 5 is actually Neutral Blood with 51.7%. So 4 of the top 5 highest win rate decks in this meta currently are neutral decks. So I really like that they're hitting it right at the source with this Alice nerf. It's going to hit all of those. One thing to keep in mind is that Feria still does the defense buff, but that's a lot less of a problem than Alice was because it only buffs your board, it requires an evolve, and it doesn't buff your hand also. So it's a lot more answerable in a lot of cases than Alice is. Now, while Alice is still pretty good offensively, the staying power of her boards is far less, and it's going to be easier to deal with it and not take so much damage over time. One thing that I'm hoping this nerf also opens up is for 2 health removal to be good again, or better than they are now at least, because a lot of the time with the health buff from Alice, boards are just way too resilient, and they can't be cleared by these 2 health removals. I think this nerf is a really good change, and I think a lot of people are going to be glad about it too, because Alice has been a specter that's been haunting the ladder for a while now. And going into Starforge Legends, I'm sure people didn't want the power of Alice in the neutral package to haunt that metagame as well. The next change here is to Lion of the Golden City, so the cost of Lion has increased from 7 to 9, which I think is a great change also. So the highest win rate deck in the current meta is Neutral Haven, so they saw it fit to target that deck specifically. And Lion is really a part of what makes that deck so powerful a lot of the time. At 7 play points, you could play a 1-drop on 1, a 2-drop on 2, a 3-drop on 3, and then a Lion on 4, which can summon a 2-1 with Storm and a 4-4, or a 5-6 that can deal 3 damage with the evolve. With Tin Man, being able to summon that much power by turn 4 is absolutely ridiculous. And curving out into Lion in that way was really not as uncommon as it should be, and that's what makes it a problem. And some people say that if you don't have Lion or Eagle Man, for example, then the deck is just not as good as everyone's saying, but at the same time, that kind of polarization in matches is, and that coin flippiness, that's not healthy for the game either. So I'm really glad that the Lion of the Golden City has been nerfed to 9, making that sort of insane board on turn 4 impossible. Vagabond Frog, nerfed from 3 to 4 play points. So they're hitting Ambush Sword in general here with the next 2 nerfs, with this and Shield of Flame as well. Because while the top 3 win rate decks are neutral decks, right after that is Ambush Sword hot on its heels. And they wanted it to be hit, and I think that's a good thing, because Ambush Sword is also quite uninteractive, and I think hitting it's going to be healthier for the game in general. And people hate Ambush Sword. People hate playing against it, because it's not fun, you can't do anything, and then you die. So I'm glad this frog is getting nerfed, and boy did it get nerfed. Going from 3 to 4 actually kind of kills the viability of Vagabond Frog, in my eyes. 4 play points for a 1-2 stat line is just abysmal, and at 4 you can't curve from Frog into General anymore, and just, having this down 1 turn later also makes the persistent damage of that 3-3-3-3 from the Frog, it makes that start later, which makes it a lot less effective. So yeah, good change for the game overall that Frog was nerfed, but I do not see it seeing play anymore after this. And finally, Shield of Flame was hit, 2 play point, silver spell as we all know, and it deals 6 damage if an allied follower with ambush is in play. Again, trying to hit Ambush Sword here, they made it so that now it has an enhanced 6 effect to deal 6 damage instead. I think the reason this card got nerfed is because of a matter of counterplay, right? Like, if they play an Ambush Sword deck, and they play Frog, and they play all these ambush cards, you think, oh, How do I counter this? I play wards. Well, if they play Shield of Flame, like, most of the biggest wards just get wrecked by a 2 play point spell. Unfortunately, it also attacks the flavor of it a little bit. I did like that it was a ninja and it dealt more damage when it was stealthed. I'm not so sure if this change is absolutely necessary with the frog change, but I'm okay with it. This makes it so that counterplay against Ambush Sword is actually viable now, using wards to deal with their ambush dudes, instead of just having your Rahab killed by a 2 play point spell. Well, those were the 4 cards that were nerfed, and as always, you'll get full vial refunds for them once the nerf hits. Let me know what you thought of the nerfs. Were they enough? Were they not enough? Did it hit the right cards? Did it not hit the right cards? Let's discuss it in the comments below, have a bit of an open discussion about it. Couple more points that were interesting in the full patch notes to me. They mentioned Ramp Dragon having the highest usage rate of 15% compared to all the other classes, which is a little nutso to me, because that's a lot of people playing Ramp Dragon. But they also mentioned that it has a 50% win rate, so they didn't see any reason to nerf it. And I kind of agree with that. Like, with Ramp Dragon, it has counterplay, right? You hit them hard, and then they die. But like against Ambush Sword, for example, what's your counterplay? You can't ward up because they just destroy it with a Shield of Flame. They hit you with the Frog over and over, starting from turn 3, and then you die. Not much you can do. And with Neutral Haven specifically, they play a Lion on turn 4, summon a bajillion dudes, and then you die. And it doesn't really feel very good. At least with Ramp Dragon, you don't feel completely helpless. And that 50% win rate reflects that. Another interesting thing that they bring up is that there are more than 5 deck archetypes with a win rate between 50 and 52%, which is really good actually, and hopefully that just increases with Starforge Legends, because having more decks, obviously, for a more diverse metagame is obviously a good thing. They also mentioned that the first turn advantage has decreased from 52.8% win rate to 51.7% win rate, and it's going towards the ideal 50%, which I've actually noticed as well on ladder. I feel like going first isn't as good as it was before, since mid-game swings to take the board back have really increased in value, I feel, because of neutral board flood strategies. And I think these nerfs are also going to do a lot to decrease first turn advantage, especially the Alice nerf specifically. Final PSA, make sure to vial your Demon Lord Ektars and other nerfed cards from the last patch. After this patch hits, you will not get full file refunds for them anymore. So if that's something you're looking to do and you haven't done so yet, then you should do it now. Well, that's it for this video. Like it if you did, don't if you didn't. Subscribe for more Shadowverse content in the very near future. And of course, thank you to my wonderful patrons, patreon.com/Ignideus. If you want to help support the channel as well, I would highly appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.